Hey everybody, and welcome to this webinar series. I hope you guys are enjoying these webinars, and if yes, we're gonna make this continuous, and we're gonna continuously bring up subtopics which we think are interesting to you. But you can also suggest some of the topics that are most interesting to you, and we'll try to cover them in details. All right. So if you have any interesting ideas on what kind of topics are the most interesting ones that you want to hear of, just send me an email, and we're going to prepare a special webinar covering that specific topic. Today's topic is a, I believe, very important topic: product market fit. A lot of people are asking us constantly whether their idea is a great one, or whether what they've built is something that's going to raise a couple of $1 million. And the product market fit is something that I think most of the creators, or pretty much all of the creators, should consider until they build something, until they deliver it to the market. There's some processes, some methods, and some concepts that you need to be familiar with. And today we're going to cover not only the crowdfunding and not only the hardware. So a lot of concepts that we're going to talk about will be as applicable in the software industry as well. So if some of you guys are thinking to start some software businesses, some of you guys are thinking to start pretty much any other businesses, and thinking about the product market fit, I believe you will find some value in this presentation, in this webinar. And then we'll move to some methodologies that we use internally at TCF. There's a special method that we have developed by which we're testing which products are going to fly and which are not. And you can just take it and implement it yourself. And then we'll have a question and answer session in the end of the webinar, and you guys can ask all the questions, and we'll have time to cover them all. Okay, cool. So those of you who are not familiar with me, I'm Narek, co-founder and CEO of the Crowdfunding Formula, this big team. We have developed a big ecosystem of companies, so we are familiar with not only about the crowdfunding. We have developed an ecosystem which covers media companies, which covers software companies, and the marketing agency. Okay, so so what is a product market fit? Let's start from the basics, and this is the very basic classical formula and classical description of pretty much what is a product market fit. So you've built something people want to buy. Yeah, this is a textbook definition of a product market fit, that you're building something and people want to buy it. But recently I heard another description, another expression which I like more, and we internally at TCF, to be honest, are using that description more than this one, and that is, you have built something a lot of people want to buy. So why is this important? Because you can have just an average kind of business, an average kind of success, but if you want to have like a really big success, if we're speaking about crowdfunding, if you want to raise like millions of dollars, then you need a lot of people to want to a lot of people who are just knocking your doors to just buy your product, right? So there's this guy, a very famous guy, Mark Andreessen. He's widely considered as one of the smartest people in Silicon Valley, and he has a very famous expression about the product market fit. Once he said that you can always feel when there is no product market fit. Customers aren't quite getting the value, they're not happy, word of mouth is not spreading off, press reviews are kind of blah, you're sending emails to reporters and they're not just answering you back, sales cycle takes too long, conversion rates go down, etc., etc. So you can just feel that something is wrong. And on the contrary, you can always feel that there is a product market fit. Customers buy the product just as fast as you can make it, you hire more support specialists, you have like, great conversion rates, you're getting a lot of emails, not only from reporters, but some suppliers, some distributors who want to cooperate, buy your products. Reporters are calling you, you have great return on your ad spend, etc. So but the reality is that in most of the time and practically, you'll end up somewhere in the middle. So one spectrum is this feeling that or you're sure that you have a product market fit, and um, uh, the other end is that you're not sure that you're having it, and in most of the time you're ending up somewhere in the middle. And for this, you have some, you need to go over and carefully assess some of the concepts, some of the domains, and measure the metrics that we're going to cover in this presentation to find out whether or not you have a product market fit, and for what direction to move to. Because it's not a magic that's happening, just once, right? It's a process which you need to hone, which you need to take on and start working on. So one thing to remember, and I learned this in a hard way, to be honest, is that you're most probably not your target customer. Most probably, there are cases which, when people are building products for themselves, and it turns out to become like pretty popular, pretty widespread across the world. But in most of the cases, you need to remember that what you're building is for another group of people, and it's not you. You might not end up being your target customer, and it's really mindset type of thing, and you need to understand that, and uh, to get this more clearly. I want to have this quiz today to make it a bit more interactive, to show you 4 of our past campaigns, 4 of our past products that we have done in here at TCF, and you're gonna guess in the chat. You're gonna guess which ones you think were the most successful ones from that, and which ones you think were the least successful ones. So there will be 4 campaigns, 4 products, and you just have to remember those 4 products, and you just write down in the chat section like which campaigns you think raised the most and which one the least, in the right sequence, of course, from the most to the least. Okay. So and all of these campaigns were our campaigns we have done with the TCF. So we are excluding this marketing bias that could be affected to those campaigns. As in a lot of times there can be great product, but with the poor marketing, those products are not able to achieve their ultimate success. So in this case, it was not the case. In this case, we have put almost the same resources and almost the same amount of time effort in these 4 products, and some of them became really successful. Some of them were kind of not that much. So one of the product is this travel pouch, which is a very tiny and squeezed travel pouch from great leather, and it includes 22 essential items that travelers need for themselves. So a lot of products were designed from specific fabric in here to fit into this pouch, and they include like rain jacket, they include backpack, gloves, blanket, cap, pretty much everything. A clean t-shirt, a fork, knife, so everything that you might need sometimes. Okay. A face mask that protects you and your identity. So like privacy is a big thing in these days, and in a lot of cases, there are a lot of cameras, a lot of people staring at you, and you are designing a mask to protect the identity and not be as visible as you are without it. Uh, a robot for kids. So this is designed for teaching kids coding. So you're hitting this button and the robot moves, and kids are designing some kind of combinations, and with that combinations they are able to find to move the robot from the right direction. Okay, So if you want a robot to go from A to B, you're designing the path, and this helps you to understand the algorithms and how coding works, and it helps kids learn coding. And the fourth one is a kind of glass fontaine for keeping your cats hydrated. So it's basically you're filling water in this column, and it gives your cat enough water as they want to drink. Not much taken here. It has like a cool design, and it keeps your cat hydrated. Okay. So you have this. Let's imagine you're a producer. Let's imagine you are a creator, and you have these four ideas, right? And you have these four ideas, and you need to decide which idea to start from. Uh, and in reality, one of those campaigns raised $1 million. Another one raised almost $500,000. Another campaign raised $200,000, and another campaign raised $50,000. Okay, so now your goal is to just send in the chat the right sequence that those campaigns could fit into this chart, into the structure. Okay, so if you're thinking that the first project raised $1 million, you're putting 1, 2, 3, 4, or 1, 3, 4, 2. So put the combination, and we'll go over it and see what you're writing, and then we'll come back to see what happened actually in reality. The reality was the following. Ready? Okay, going. So the first one, the cat fontaine, it's called Kitty Spring. It raised almost $1 million. So it was the most popular campaign out of these four products. Okay, it raised 900 something dollars. You can check it out on Indiegogo. The second one, to my personal great surprise, like, was this blank mask. The name of this mask was blank, and this was a kind of privacy mask. And like, just imagine this mask raised almost $500,000. The fourth one, the third one was the Mochi robot. The Mochi robot, which was again a kit for kids teaching coding. And the fourth one was the SM-Pack, the travel pouch. Which included all these essentials, and was designed for travelers. And it raised $50,000. With our own TCF metrics, it pretty much failed. So as you could see, sometimes nobody could guess what is going to work and what is not going to work. And even in here at TCF, when we're dealing with creators every single day, we're receiving emails from all kind of creators from all over the world, literally hundreds of campaigns every day. We have a lot of experience, and we ourselves even cannot decide which campaign is a great one and which one might not work. My personal, bet on all these four was the fourth one, and it failed. I had so high hopes on this SM-Pack campaign. I was thinking that's a great hit. We have been preparing for it for quite some time. We have put a lot of resources on it, and it just didn't work. It turns out, people, for some reason, we'll explore it later on, but for some reason, people just don't want it. And no matter how skillful you are, how successful you are as a marketeer, whatever resources you put in there, it's just not going to work. Okay, it's just not going to work. You might raise some amount of money, you might succeed. It is exactly applicable to other businesses as well. It's applicable to applications, it's applicable to software businesses, to platforms, to all kind of businesses. If the product is something that people are not want to buy, no matter what kind of resources you put into marketing, it's never going to fly. Okay. So let's start from the basics. And you have an idea. You have an idea, and what's next? How to assess whether this idea is a good one or a bad one. So essentially, there are three domains that you need to consider, okay? Problem, solution, and insight. So everything goes around these three concepts. And if you make it right, you're gonna able to clearly understand whether you're on the right track or not. Let's start from problem. So problem is pretty much the most important element in this sequence. Uh, the bigger the problem, the higher the chance that you are building something really great. All of the great companies are solving pretty big problems. Okay, big problem, solving a big problem is a good one. Ideally, in here at TCF, we're looking at the popularity of the problem, like how many people are suffering from that specific problem that you're solving. And if it's like 1,000 people, then it's not going to work, because it's very difficult to achieve a very small amount of people. And we're considering only the mass, kind of mass market problems that many people have. And we're only taking campaigns which have 10, where we see that the almost 10 million plus people are suffering from that exact problem. Okay, again, you can implement this in other areas as well, and it will work similarly. So whether this problem is growing, if this is something that's going to stop, or is this growing, we are always looking for growing problems. Okay, if you have defined a problem and then you're seeing the trend and you see that it's growing, then you're on the right track. Okay, then if you build a solution, if even you build a solution in upcoming 6 to 7 months, you're going to end up in a higher amount of audience which are suffering from that specific problem. Okay, so that makes a lot of sense. What's the urgency of that problem? Are people want to solve it in sometimes in the future, or that they just want to right now, right here? uh, this is again very important to understand what's the timeline and what's the urgency of people who are suffering from that specific problem. Is that problem expensive to solve? Almost all the problems have their solutions, and people find some alternative solutions to solve that problems. Okay, but how much this alternative solution costs to that specific audience? The more expensive is the alternative solution, the better. Okay, sometimes there are some changes in the law, which, when there's a change in the law and people mandatory have to do something, like there's a lockdown and people have to wear masks. Okay, and in these situations you just have to solve it. There's just no other way. How frequent are people suffering from that problem? How frequent people are facing that specific problem? Facebook, Slack, Twitter, all these companies, they're great companies, and they are solving exactly these types of problems where people are suffering many times a day. And as a result, they're using their products many times a day. So frequency is one of the metrics that you need to consider when assessing how big of a problem you're solving. So consider this product, the UV mask, one of our products, which raised $4.1 million, and it was almost ticking all the areas that I just mentioned. Was it popular? Yes, a lot of people want to feel protected. Was it growing? Exactly, because we were in the middle of the COVID. It was summer and the COVID was widespreading. Was it urgent? Absolutely. A lot of people wanted to get it right now because they want to feel protected. Was it expensive to solve? Very expensive. Nobody wanted to go to hospital because of COVID, etc. Was it mandatory? It was mandatory, and it was frequent, as people were going outside many times a day, and they've been interacting with other people, and they need a protection. Okay, so if you manage to fit into this structure, and it's not mandatory to have this all, but this is just to give you a brief insight on what a good problem looks like. Okay, Okay, let's move forward. And solution. So solution is like the best advice in here that I can give you is just don't start from here. Okay, don't start from solution. There is even a term in Y Combinator that they use, SISP, solution in a search of a problem. And this is a pretty common bias among all kind of creators, not only for crowdfunding, but like software creators, application creators, all bunch of creators and startups are coming up with a solution. They have the solution, and then they're trying to fit a problem to their solution. To be honest, there are some cases that it might work, and some cases it works if you have like groundbreaking solution or groundbreaking technology, but in most of the cases it fails. Okay, so if you have a solution, then you're trying to search a problem where your solution can be used. Don't do that. Stop it. Put it aside. Go and start from the problem. Okay, you need to concentrate on a problem. You need to make sure that the problem really exists, and people are really suffering from that specific problem. Only in that case, you need to come up with solution. Okay. And then insights. So insight is pretty much the unfair advantage, or why you're going to grow quickly. So what are your chances and why you're thinking you're going to do this, why you're going to produce this product, why you're going to get into this market. And to evaluate your unfair advantage, you can evaluate these 5 points. So starting from a founder, um, is this founder one in a million or one in thousands? Are you a very unique person who are doing this? Do you have very unique skill set, which will put you in an unfair advantage over your competitors? Okay. If you are, just good product manager, if you have a PhD, if you have MBA, if you have graduated MIT or worked in Google, there are millions of people who did that. Maybe not millions, but hundreds of thousands of people who did that. Okay, and it's not making you any very unique. It's not a unfair competitive advantage towards to you. We had projects where the founders were one of the main key competitive elements of that product. For example, once we had an e-bike, and one of the founders was Eric Buell, who was the CTO of Harley Davidson, and he was just legendary personality. There was even a bike named for him, Buell e-bikes. Sorry, not bike, a motorcycle, racing motorcycle. So he was just a very well-known personality in this sector, and everybody knew him. And this was one of the key unfair advantages, and we knew that, and this is why we took that project, and it raised like a bunch of money. Second is the market. Market is one of the most important, pretty much the most important area that you need to focus your attention to. Is this market a big market? First of all, right? It's coming from the problem. Is this market a big market? Is it growing continuously over a year? What's the trend? Is it decreasing trend, or it's an increasing trend? Sometimes, if you are choosing the right market, only because of that decision you'll grow organically. Okay, you'll grow organically as your market is growing. It will take you and make you grow. Third one, is your products 10x of the competition? Is your products 10 times better than the ones who are in the market? Don't try to judge this very subjectively. You need to evaluate this from objective point of view, ask your customers, or make the measurements that we're going to talk about a bit later on. Is your acquisition cost $0 or very cheap? Yeah, practically it might not be $0, but it should be very cheap. If you have good numbers, you have good traffic, but you're spending a lot of money to get those traffic, and you're spending a lot of money on ads, and that's the only channel you generate traffic on, it's not putting you it's not giving you any competitive advantage over your competitors. Pretty much any competitor who is richer than you can get into the market and might spend more money and just overcome you over this game. Okay, so this is not giving you any advantage, and you need to understand the low cost channels for acquisition. This might pretty much give you an unfair advantage, and the chances to become a monopoly. It's not a bad thing, and pretty much if you become a leader, if you become a dominant in your domain, in your market, you need to understand what are the chances for it to be happen in the future. Like if you grow this way, is there a chance that you'll get to somewhere and your competitors will not be able to reach to that level? This is more applicable to platform type of solutions, right? Like when there is a platform and it start organically grow, it's very hard to replicate similar things. Like Kickstarter is a similar example. Facebook is a similar example. Um, a lot of platforms are fitting into there, and they grew somehow. And when they become already a monopoly, it's almost impossible for competitors to take over them. Let's speak about Steve Jobs, the most famous creator of all times, probably. And there is this misconception about Steve Jobs that he was a magical genius who was sitting in his garage and thinking of some magical ideas, magical products, and then coming up with these products, and the whole world was going like nuts about it. Yeah. Uh, and it was not the case, actually. It was not the case. Just if you remember the first iPhone, uh, it sucked a lot. It didn't have 3G. At that time, there was already 3G available, and it didn't have 3G, so internet was like very bad. The battery was super bad. You need to charge it like several times a day. Okay. Uh, it didn't have App Store, so there was only just a couple of apps available in the native first iPhone, etc. And then with the time, with the iteration, with a lot of iterations, gradually it became something that we have today. Something that kind of replaced our, our understanding of the phone, of the smartphone. And this didn't come up like magically, and this didn't come up with the first iPhone. And Steve Jobs once famously said that I think he was quoting Henry Ford when he said that, as Henry Ford was saying that if I would ask our customers what they want, and they would just say faster horses. So this is why I'm not doing market research, and I'm not asking about what solution my customers want. And a lot of people are misinterpreting this expression as Steve Jobs was not going to their customers and was not speaking to them. And it's absolutely wrong. It's not true. What he was not doing, he was just not asking about the solution, and that's correct. But he was asking about the problems. He was talking to them constantly. He was iterating. He was talking to the customers, understanding what kind of problems they have, and then coming up with the better products. Okay, and this is exactly what you what you should do as well. Um Find a hidden need that is not obvious. This is really very important, and all the great companies have found a need that was not obvious. Same with iPhones, same with Steve Jobs, and same with almost all kind of big companies and big products. And sometimes those needs are really hidden. They're at first, on the first glance, you're thinking this is something shitty, this is not going to work. But when you have this insight, when you're understanding this hidden need, then you are into something. Okay, and the hidden need might be something that is not clear from the first time. So for example, if you're taking an iPhone, the hidden need of an iPhone was not that people want a better phones. Okay, it was not that people want to improve their phones. The hidden need was that people want portable computers. People want to have comfortable portable computers which would fit into their pockets. which eventually became the kind of analog of a phone that we're using today and we're understanding today. Okay. uh, and with this as with experience, we're learning that it's not good to turn down a lot of ideas which on the first side might think very crappy ones, like we saw with these campaigns, right? So this is why we're carefully evaluating, and you also need to very carefully evaluate like all the ideas that you have. And it might happen that an idea that from the first sight everybody is rejecting, whom you are approaching to, everybody is rejecting to. Maybe it's the best one, and it's the next big thing. So you need to pursue exactly that one. Okay. So don't try to jump on conclusion very early. You need some specific procedures, some specific techniques to understand whether it will work or not. So coming back to product market fit overall, three questions people should ask themselves the most. Am I building the right product? Will they buy what I sell? And will they pay the price that I want? And these three domains are equally important for you to understand whether you're on the right track or not. So, and to understand and evaluate whether you're on the right track, you need to construct some hypotheses, and you need to understand how you're measuring those hypotheses and validating them or rejecting them with the data. Okay. And this is why we created this JungleProof testing. It was a kind of method actually that we have been using for a couple of years already. And with this JungleProof testing, why we call it JungleProof, because the market is a kind of analog of a jungle, and you never know what will happen in the market. And this is why we came up with this idea. Okay. So what we're using, what we're testing with this JungleProof testing is the market validation. We're understanding whether the concept is something the market interested in, and whether people are ready to pay the price that you're asking for. And here's how we're measuring it. So I'll show you now an example of a landing page that we're building. And the concept is pretty simple. So we're building a landing page, a very simple one, and putting some basic ideas and the concepts and the photos on the first page. It's not a website, it's a kind of landing page. And then we have the subscribe place. So we're driving traffic to this landing page and see how many people are subscribing in there, like putting their emails to learn more. Okay, if it's interesting, they're putting their emails to later on be notified about the launch of the product. When they're subscribing, the second page appears, which says, if you want to reserve this price, if you like it so much that you want to reserve this, you can put just $1 and reserve it for the upcoming launch. So everybody knows in crowdfunding that the first ones who are like the early birds, who are coming back to your campaign page early on, they benefit from these early discounts. So in this case, you're putting $1 to reserve the price for all the duration, all the campaign duration. Okay. So, and then we're driving traffic. We're with the ads, we're driving some relevant traffic, and trying to carefully assess the benchmarks. Like if the ratio from first page to the second page is appropriate to the benchmarks, and we know the benchmarks as we have been doing this for quite some time, like we have done hundreds of campaigns. If it's good, then it means that people are interested into your products. Okay, they are interested into your concept and maybe idea. There is a market for it, and people want to give you their emails for later on to learn more about it. And then if enough people are ready to put $1 to reserve a price, it means that the price is a good one for them. And people are ready to give you $1. Sometimes we put $5, sometimes even we might increase it to $10, depending on the price, etc. But with this way, you are assessing the early adopters, and you are assessing the percentage of early adopters from the overall traffic that are brought to your landing page. Okay, so let me just show you an example of how it looks like in reality. So let's just go to, so imagine this, like this is an ongoing project that we're testing currently. These are gaming gloves, and we're testing this to see whether there's a demand or not. And another one is this cool shaving razor. Uh, and what we have in here is that, so we have just, very basic information. You see, not much information in there, just photos and a place where you can put your email. Let me subscribe. Uh, and then when you're subscribing, it says reserve it for just $1. Uh, and then it says that pay only $160 instead of $267 when we go live. Okay, and I'm getting 40% off. So if I like it so much and I want to receive this discount, I'm hitting this reserve my spot button, and then I'm transferred to Stripe, where I'll put my payment information and it will charge me $1. If something happens, I'll get this $1 as a refund. Okay, so with this way, we are comparing the actual numbers, and we're comparing the actual amount of people who hit this reserve button, and this is the pretty much the best validation out there. Like, it's not comparable to focus groups, to research, to to almost anything. If you're seeing in reality that people are putting $1 to reserve a price, that's pretty much the best validation that you could get, and the best product market fit that you could understand from here. Okay, so this with this testing, we're measuring very comprehensive amount of metrics. It's not straightforward, to be honest. You need to measure all kind of metrics to understand the complete picture. Like, we're measuring metrics such as conversion rates, we're measuring cost per subscription, we're measuring the reservation rate, the return on ad spend, the funding per visitor. We even are measuring how many people opened your email, how many people clicked to the links in the emails, etc. And this is giving us a kind of overall idea whether this is something that people want or whether this is something that people don't want. And to be very honest with you, we are in a lot of times we're receiving products that we are not able to assess and evaluate ourselves very clearly. And even the founders, like they came up with an idea, but in reality, the reality differs, right, from their expectations. And you need to come up from a specific process. You need to kind of emulate the overall real market process to understand how people would behave if this was the real product. Okay, and with this testing methodology, you would kind of very quickly and also in the cheapest way, you would understand if everything is good or something is bad. And sometimes we're tweaking the positioning a little bit. We're changing the overall direction. We're changing the audience. We are increasing the price by 25%, then decreasing the price by 25%, and seeing how the market reacts. We had cases with our campaigns that during the testing, we figured out that we need to increase the price instead of going with the price that the creator was asking initially. And it was pretty interesting that we were trying to convince the creator for quite some time by saying that the market is ready to pay higher price, and here are the results. And as a result, like we went to the market with almost 30% more pricing than he was initially considering, and it was a super hit. It raised almost $1 million. He was super happy, and we just made him a very good margin in there. Of course, there are a lot of cases when you have to just decrease your price. You're seeing something wrong. And when you see something wrong, your job is to just iterate, come up with new hypotheses, then do more testing, validate the data, and see what works. Okay, cool. If you have questions, remember them or put them in the chat box. I'll come to them in the end of presentation. Okay, so you need to measure what you're doing. You need to measure your results. You need to measure your traffic, your testings, etc. And you need to use Google Analytics. It's the basics of the basics, but it's not enough. Okay, Google Analytics is not enough. If you want to have a complete picture of what's happening, you need a bit more advanced tools. We recommend Mixpanel. So Mixpanel is an advanced tracking tool. I don't know who is using Mixpanel from the participants, but it's a great tool that we're using. Whether you're having a landing page, whether it's a website, whether it's a software, it's anything. Mixpanel will give you a great insight on the events, on what events people are hitting on, what people are doing. Pretty much, Google Analytics is not that comprehensive. And then there is this tool which I personally really love. It's called Quantcast. So Quantcast is a great tool. It's also an analytical tool, which will give you a lot of insights on who is your audience. So with the Quantcast, you will understand like people who are visiting your website. Are they, wearing Levi's jeans? Whether they are driving Toyota cars? Are they buying from McDonald's, or they love Burger King, etc., etc. Such an amazing things and details you will get from your audience that you're probably not expecting to. And this will give you a complete picture on what kind of people love your products, and what kind of people don't love your product, which is also an interesting element to assess. Then you need to continuously do this A/B testings. Okay, it's all about testings. It's you can come up with great ideas, but great ideas are only a hypothesis. They are not great ideas until it's tested. And we learned it in a hard way to look only on the metrics, to look only on the results, to see if the success metrics are good, then things are going on the right way. If they are not good, then something is not working. Okay, so you need to understand your success metrics. This is also important. You need to understand what metrics you are assessing to. What's the most important, like 3 to 4 metrics that you need to assess on a daily basis. Then design some events, put it on a Mixpanel, and start tracking every day. Drive some traffic, and start the measurement process. Okay, so the last slide, and I'll try to sum up, and we'll come to the questions. Is so pretty much what to do in a nutshell, and how to build great products. First of all, talk to your customers. I cannot underline this more enough, and how important is this to talk to your real customers and get their insights. Okay, there is a great book that I'm recommending for you to read. It's called Mom Test. And the idea is that when most of the people have great ideas, they're coming to their mom or coming to their friends and saying, hey, I have this cool idea, what you're thinking about it, etc. And their mom, because she loves them, they says, oh, this is such a great idea, you definitely need to do that, go and start doing it, I would love to buy it, etc. And then people are going and building a product that nobody in reality wants, because it was very biased. You built something based on very biased information, and you asked very biased questions. And this book will teach you on how to ask the right questions, what questions to ask to your customers, what to measure, how to understand their real hidden needs, etc. This is one of my favorite books. It's pretty small and pretty mandatory to read for pretty much all the creators or all the startups out there. Talking to customers and optimizing things for learning is one of the important things that we do with our software products. For some of our products, this is the #1 metric. Imagine we're not tracking, the number of signups. We're tracking, of course, but this is not the major metrics for us. Uh, Signups, traffic, bounce rate, etc. And the number thing that we're tracking is how many customers we have talked in this specific day. And every day I'm looking at that number, and we want to increase that number, and we want to optimize that product, not for conversion, but we're optimizing it for learning ourselves as it's in beta version, and we want to get as many insights as possible to build the next iteration of it. And we understand that only with that case we can go to the next level. Okay. So an important thing, listen to their problems, not their solutions. Same case with Henry Ford and Steve Jobs. Uh, do rapid prototyping and user testing. Okay, prototyping, testing. Build a solution to their problem. Collect data. Uh, if that work, then it's great. If it falls, then you have to start it over again. Okay. So do your JungleProof test and assess the metrics and build some really cool and really great products. Okay, so it was it for today. You can find me on LinkedIn. You can send me emails, and let's get connected. Now let's see what kind of questions you have. Okay, so John asks for validation. What should the cost be for those $1 reservations? So it pretty much depends on the product. This is also one of the metrics that you need to assess. Uh, it can cost from $10, can cost to $20, etc., etc. So it's pretty much a metric that you need to carefully assess, right? If there is if the price of your product is $100, your cost of reservation is about $10, then you have pretty good return on ad spend. Okay, then you can forecast and make your estimation, do your cost calculations, etc., and generalize it over the upcoming campaign. How can we promote this kind of a landing page? Mostly with Facebook ads. So we're doing Facebook advertising. With Facebook advertising, you're able to get a very targeted traffic directed to your landing page. So in here, you're sure that you're driving the very right people to your landing page, and those are the target customers pretty much. What is the title of this book again? Mom's Test. Okay, I'll put it in here. Mom's Test. I don't remember the author, but this is a pretty famous book. Yes, Rob Fitzpatrick. What do you mean with rapid prototyping and testing? Can you be more specific? This is a great question, actually. So it differs from industry and from domains, in which domain you are. With rapid prototyping, I mean you have some kind of an MVP. Okay, it can be a hardware, it can be software. So then you're doing your testing, and most probably it doesn't work, or you're not getting the metrics that you would ideally want to. Then your job is just to understand what part of that product might cause these low metrics, improve it, and then start it again. So the as quick as you can make these cycles working, the quicker you'll understand what kind of whether you're on the right track or not. Okay, so if you're improving something and you're seeing that the metrics are increasing, then it means that you're on the right track, and you'll double down on that and just dig deeper and make it a better product. Mom Test by Rob Fitzpatrick, exactly. Does this process differ if your product is a service versus something tangible? I believe this can be applicable for services as well. To be honest, our own experience has been only with the hardware, with the tangible products. But I believe this is something you can done for the service. And I know a couple of people who have succeeded with the service type of products. So ideally or theoretically, you can do it with a service. You can put put out a landing page, put out the pricing, and just say that if you reserve it at this stage, you will get this discount. And you drive the traffic and you see how many people will reserve it. I have an idea, but I haven't created the project yet. Can I present it to the TCF? Unfortunately, no. Unfortunately, no, because our job starts only after you have a prototype. Uh, why is that? Because ideas are something that are not that much valuable. I would say, yeah, we all have ideas, and we all have our understanding on how the final product will look like. And the reality is that um, we will understand it clearly when you have built something and you have implement your ideas into the product. Only after that we will be able to assess whether this is something that people want or we ourselves are excited to or not. Okay. Don't value your ideas much. Ideas are great, but the value is mostly in the implementation. A lot of ideas are not unique. A lot of people are asking us, like, can you sign an NDA? And we happily do. But in most of the cases, it's the implementation and it's the actual prototyping and product building where the value creation starts. Okay. So there's a question which says, when you TCF rejected a product idea, didn't see a potential, but it eventually shot. Yes. There has been such cases, both that type of cases and the opposite cases I just explained. But it happened like quite some times ago, and now we learned to not trust our own, gut feeling. We learned to trust only the data. Okay, although the gut feeling is also sometimes developed based on the data you're seeing every day, and is becoming pretty intelligent every day. But still, even if you're thinking something is good, you're doing the testing, and with the results, you're becoming more confident. And this is the way that we're doing currently. We're never starting any project currently with a TCF without testing and being confident that this is going to fly. Okay, so before starting a campaign, we already know, is this going to be a pretty good success or not? What common mistakes with problem defining we can make? A common mistake can be to not assess the problem objectively. Okay, to generalize your own insights and own mindsets over the big group of people who are going to be your customers. That's one of the most common mistakes people are doing. So what you need to do, you need to talk to people and you need to allow people to express themselves. Okay, you don't need to provide hints to those customers whom you're talking to. You just have to, like, just give them the idea. Let's say, like, whether you ask them about some facts and listen carefully what they're saying, whether they have been searching on to find some alternatives, whether they have been doing something to solve their problems, whether they went to the market and bought some very expensive alternative, like competitor products, competitor solution. And if you're listening all this, and you have to carefully write them down and then analyze, and with these specific facts, you'll understand that this is a problem that people are actually suffering from. Okay, it's not your own judgment, not your own mindset and insights. It's something that exists in reality. And also take into consideration the market size. Is it growing? Is it decreasing? You can understand it with just simple checking out Google Trends to see what's the situation. What email address we can write? So my email is Narek TCF team. Would love to have one-on-one conversation about your services and products. Yeah, sure. Write to this email. I'm not that much into the product assessment. We have a separate department for that. So most probably I'll direct you to the right hands, the right direction, and you can talk to our experts, and they'll see whether you have good ideas and how we can take it to the next level. So pretty much it for today, guys. If you don't have any questions, then thank you for being here, for listening to. Um, and I'll wait for your feedbacks over the emails. We'll send the recording of this webinar, so you don't have to remember all these kind of things. We'll send you a recording and come up with the feedbacks and the topics which you are interested in. So we'll come back with some more webinars if you are satisfied.